kinda high, you know that.
This is the first one. This is the weakest wing, bro.
I'm fucked up. This shit don't do nothing in your stomach or none of that. Fuck, man, hold on. Yo, bro, is yours different than mine? Another one. It's hot.
Tell me about a time in DJ Khaled's life where he caught an L.
An L? Never in my life. I promise you, if I stop, doesn't mean I gave up.
Yes, it does.
Get a close-up, get a close-up. Get a close-up of the case, the guitar.
DJ Khaled, we're excited to share this new guitar with you. As someone who has an appreciation for Bob Marley's life and music, we want you to be one of the first to play the Gildy 20 Marley, based on Bob's at-home songwriting guitar from 56 Hope Road. This guitar inspired songs that help unite the world, and we hope it gives you inspiration as well.
Are you tired of DJ Khaled already? Once his loud personality, dramatic screams, and endless catchphrases felt fun and even kind of iconic. But now, that same act feels stale, like a broken record stuck on repeat. Year after year, the shine has worn off, and instead of hype, people are rolling their eyes. He ducks real conversations, avoids saying anything meaningful, and leans into goofy antics that feel more embarrassing than entertaining. What used to feel larger than life now just feels forced. DJ Khaled has somehow turned himself into background noise nobody asked for. And today we're pulling back the curtain on all the messy reasons why people are officially fed up with his act. When asked about his bedroom habits, Khaled didn't just dodge. He proudly declared he never has, never will, and could never go down on a woman. Yes, you read that right. He bragged that even his longtime partner, Nicole Tuck, will never experience that side of intimacy with him. Fans were stunned, like, really, Khaled? You mean to tell us that you can scream another one on every track but can't deliver even one in the bedroom? The awkwardness didn't stop there. When asked if toys or other ways of spicing things up were in the picture, Khaled brushed it off with a nah, basically shutting the whole conversation down. But here's where it gets messy. If a woman flips the script and decides not to return the favor for him, he admitted he'd have a huge problem with that. Double standards much? Then, in what can only be described as a full-blown childish rant, Khaled went on about how a woman should always uplift her man, worship his ego, and keep him on a pedestal because, in his words, he's the king. The entitlement was loud, and the internet did not let him live that one down. The internet tore Khaled apart, and not just random fans, even celebrities jumped in on the roast. Smash Mouth, yes, that Smash Mouth, came swinging with the now iconic line, "A king who doesn't is no king at all." Ouch! And then The Rock himself stepped in, flexing with his own words. "As a man, I take great pride in mastering all performance." Now that's a clapback. When The Rock is subtweeting you about bedroom game, you already lost. But the bigger question lingered. How can a man demand royal treatment when he flat out refuses to give anything back? What does that say about him? Some wondered if it's psychological, maybe some insecurity tied to his manhood that makes him avoid it altogether. Others thought it showed stinginess, like hoarding pleasure, the way folks hoarded toilet paper during the pandemic. Either way, the whole thing screams selfishness. By bragging so loudly about what he won't do, Khaled ended up telling on himself. He painted a picture where intimacy isn't about love or connection. It's about him sitting on a throne while the woman is supposed to feel grateful just to be there. That kind of mindset doesn't come off as kingly, it comes off as entitled. Instead of flexing strength, he exposed weakness, showing the world more about his shortcomings than his so-called royalty. As of this video, Khaled's tongue is still on strike, refusing to clock in, huh? But let's move from the bedroom to the boardroom, because in 2016, Khaled landed himself in another storm. And this time it wasn't just gossip, it was political. That year, Khaled, a proud Palestinian American who constantly leans into his heritage, hit the stage at a Super Bowl event sponsored by Sabra Hummus. At first glance, it looked like just another high-paying gig, nothing unusual. But here's the kicker. Sabra is partially owned by the Strauss Group, an Israeli company that has been openly tied to providing financial and logistical support to the Israeli military. To many, this wasn't just another corporate partnership, it was a slap in the face. Fans and critics couldn't believe it. How could Khaled, who so loudly profits from his Palestinian identity, stand up there and smile for a brand with links to the very forces accused of oppressing Palestinians? To some, it wasn't just a questionable check to cash. It looked like a betrayal of morals, plain and simple. And that's the part that stung the most. Khaled's performance turned into a messy reminder that some artists treat cultural pride like a fashion accessory, flaunting it when it boosts their image, but tossing it aside the second money talks louder. It left many asking, was Khaled really standing for his people or just standing for the highest bidder? Khaled stayed silent. Not a word, not a post, nothing. He didn't respond to the backlash over the Sabra deal, and sadly, that silence became a pattern. Fast forward to 2023, when the conflict in Gaza escalated, celebrities across the globe, even ones with no ties to Palestine, spoke up loudly. Meanwhile, Khaled, a man who never misses a chance to shout, "We the best" on Instagram, suddenly had nothing to say. The silence was deafening. People noticed, and the criticism grew brutal. At a massive pro-Palestinian march in Paris, one woman carried a sign that read, "DJ Khaled is a traitor." That sign blew up online and became a rallying cry, a harsh symbol of how many Palestinians and supporters now viewed him. The message was clear. Khaled chose to protect his image instead of using his massive platform to stand with his own people. Instead of even sharing a video, a picture, anything in solidarity, he stayed suspiciously quiet, while others with no personal stake risked backlash to speak out. Fans started speculating. Was Khaled muzzled by business ties? His label, We the Best, is owned by Universal Music Group, and UMG has long been reported as a strong supporter of Israel. Some believe the pressure came from the top. Others thought Khaled simply didn't want to touch a controversial subject that might cost him money. Either way, the damage was done. Many Palestinians publicly disowned him, vowing they didn't want his music, his fake pride, or his empty words. To them, Khaled proved he wasn't the best. He was just another artist who put comfort and checks above community. Even comedian Dave Chappelle couldn't resist calling Khaled out. On stage, Dave said point blank that for someone who claims his Palestinian roots so proudly, Khaled was way too quiet, and it was long past time for him to speak up. But then Chappelle twisted the knife even deeper, joking, "And why are you so fat? People are starving. He's the only fat Palestinian on earth right now." The crowd gasped, laughed, and buzzed. Because, let's be real, Dave said what many were already thinking. But it wasn't just outsiders clowning Khaled, even his own family was embarrassed. According to The New Era, one of Khaled's cousins admitted he was considering cutting ties completely. The cousin said Khaled had clearly seen all the negative comments flooding his socials, but instead of stepping up, he just dug himself into a hole so deep there was no escape. And the betrayal stung even more because his family believed they knew the truth. Khaled had chosen fame, money, and access over doing what was right. To them, it wasn't just silence, it was selling out. The irony? Despite dodging every serious conversation, Khaled had no problem hopping on The Tonight Show to rave about Palestinian food, though he watered it down by calling it Arabic instead. The man wouldn't speak on injustice, but he'd happily brag about his favorite dish with his hungry self. That contradiction only fueled the anger, making it look like Khaled wanted the cultural clout, but not the responsibility that came with it. And let's not forget, through all this chaos, Khaled still refused to say a single word about the war. The backlash hit like a tidal wave, with people blasting him as a coward, a waste of space, and even inhumane. As of this video, Khaled is basically still doing the mute challenge when it comes to Gaza, and fans are sick of it. Then came 2024, when Khaled somehow managed to make things even worse. He posted an Instagram video of himself sitting in the backseat of his luxury car, hesitating to step out. Why? Because he didn't want to get his pricey sneakers dirty on the pavement. And what happened next was pure comedy. Two men physically carried Khaled's oversized self straight into another waiting car. Child, the internet exploded. The dragging was vicious. People went in on him, calling him spoiled, entitled, soft, and completely out of touch with reality. The memes were endless, the jokes nonstop. But there was one comment that really cut deep and stuck. Someone pointed out the bitter irony. DJ Khaled built his entire empire off Black culture, Black sounds, and Black audiences. Yet in that video, he was literally being carried on the backs of two Black men. What Khaled thought was a flashy flex, a moment of extravagance, instantly turned into a viral symbol of hypocrisy. Instead of looking like a boss, he looked like a walking contradiction. A man so desperate to protect his image and his shoes that he ended up exposing exactly what people already thought about him, entitled, clueless, and out of touch with the very community that gave him a career. The whole spectacle raised some ugly questions about cultural exploitation, privilege, and that thin line between celebrating a culture versus flat out cashing in on it. Instead of looking like the powerhouse mogul he wants us to believe he is, Khaled came off like an overgrown man-child chasing clout. And just when you thought it couldn't get more embarrassing, another stunt had people rolling their eyes. In 2022, Khaled, a multimillionaire with luxury cars, mansions, and more jewelry than most people will ever see, proudly posted a video of himself clutching stacks of Mega Millions lottery tickets. Yep, you heard that right. A man worth tens of millions was trying to hit the jackpot like the rest of us struggling to pay bills. In the clip, Khaled hyped himself up, bragging that he was aiming for billionaire status because they didn't believe in us, but God did. The internet was not impressed. One user fired back, telling him to stay out of poor people's dreams since he was already rich. Another said it straight. Khaled was standing in the way of somebody who actually needed that life-changing money. And the worst part, after all that bragging, after flashing those tickets like trophies, Khaled didn't even win a dime. Every single ticket was a bust. Instead of looking like a future billionaire, he looked ridiculous. A wealthy man wasting cash just to prove a point that nobody asked for. To fans, it was yet another example of Khaled's clueless privilege, flexing while regular people scrape by. Back in 2022, Khaled found himself in a fiery feud with none other than reggae artist and longtime collaborator, SZA. Things got so bad that SZA literally hopped on Instagram Live and torched the plaques he had received from working with Khaled. Yep, he straight up set them on fire for the whole world to see. So what went down between the two? According to Dancehall Mag, the beef started when SZA finally received his plaques, years after the certifications had already been announced. But it wasn't just the delay that had him heated. SZA noticed his own name was printed in tiny little letters while Khaled's name was front and center in bold, practically taking all the credit. To him, that wasn't just sloppy design, it was pure disrespect. And SZA didn't hold back. On a podcast, he blasted Khaled again, saying he hated how the plaques weren't even presented at a proper ceremony or event. No media, no celebration, no spotlight, just mailed plaques like an afterthought. For a legend like SZA, it felt like a slap in the face. And here's where it gets even messier. SZA isn't just a collaborator, he's actually the godfather to Khaled's eldest child. So this wasn't just business drama, this was personal. But judging by the flames on those plaques, their friendship is officially done for. And what did Khaled do? The same thing he always does when he's in hot water. Stay silent and hope it blows over. But let's be real, his career isn't wobbling because of one viral clip, one messy brand deal, or even his refusal to clock in down below. It's the pattern of ego, entitlement, and disrespect that keeps catching up with him. And SZA just made that crystal clear with fire. Khaled's downfall really comes down to one brutal truth. He stands for absolutely nothing. And when you peel back the layers of hype, people are finally seeing just how little talent he actually brings to the table. He doesn't rap, he doesn't sing, and when it comes to producing, he's not building beats from scratch like the legends do. His whole career has been about curating songs, calling in favors, and then screaming his catchphrases over tracks other artists created. That formula might have worked in the mid-2000s when fans were just excited by big collabs, but times have changed. Today's audiences want substance, authenticity, and accountability. Khaled offers none of that, just more shouting, more flexing, and more empty spectacle. And it gets worse. His entire brand has been built directly on the backs of Black artists and Black communities, yet he constantly positions himself as the star, while the very people who made him shine end up pushed into the background. Now the uncomfortable questions are getting louder. How is a non-Black man tossing around the N-word so casually in songs and public appearances? How does he justify building an empire off Black culture while failing to truly give back to those same communities? The contradictions are glaring, and fans aren't letting them slide anymore. Audiences have grown tired of someone who thinks yelling "another one" counts as artistry. That shtick has expired. What once looked like larger-than-life mogul energy now feels like smoke and mirrors. And if Khaled doesn't wake up, his time at the top isn't just fading, it might already be over. Khaled's latest album, God Did, might have debuted at #1, but let's be real, the numbers don't lie. Unlike his earlier projects that flew straight to platinum, this one barely crawled to a gold certification, and that flop speaks volumes. Why? Because in today's music world, it's not enough to stack a track list with features and shout over the beat. Being an artist in this era is about having a voice, standing for something, and actually adding depth to the culture. But Khaled, he's still stuck on the same tired gimmicks. The loud catchphrases, the forced hype, the smoke and mirrors show, and now that the protective shield of constant hits, carried on the backs of other people's talent, has started to crack, his legacy is looking more fragile than ever. Fans aren't just laughing at the memes anymore. Behind the jokes, there's real frustration building. People are done watching him cash massive checks off a culture he won't fully respect or invest back into. They see the hypocrisy, they see the lack of growth, and they're no longer impressed by the man who built an empire yelling "another one" like it was artistry. Khaled may parade around calling himself the king, but the truth is, he's been dethroned, not by another artist, but by his own irrelevance.